Hello everyone, I'm Mithra. Welcome back. It's Dark Herald. It's the end of the month. That means Dark Herald. Dark Herald number 4. Dark Herald, the Oblivion Mosquito, which is great. If last month was supposed to be Red Witches and Black Knight, but Black Knight was not mentioned, and then this was always supposed to be Oblivion Mosquito, so I'm glad that it is. And I'm glad it's not the last day. I'm glad there's no forward from Poots here. So this is all good. Everything's good. Let's just jump right into it. This one just starts right off going right into the Dark Herald. So, hello everyone, and welcome back to another month of Dark Heralding. Now that the stink of the frog dog has finally faded from our nostrils, I thought it would be a great time to head back into the cesspond to meet another denizen of the brackish waters. The Oblivion Mosquito. The Oblivion Mosquito is a No. 2 quarry poised to bring a whole host of problems to an otherwise burgeoning settlement. There's the emblem. Pretty neat. Very neat. Oblivion Mosquito has a very neat emblem. Here are the plastics. These have already been seen. I remember seeing them at Gen Con. These have been showed off a whole bunch. So, I mean, they're still cool, but they're really neat. And this original artwork is, again, all the same. All is the same. The monster is a paratozoid species that depends on others, like unwitting survivors, to incubate their young. Like their real-life counterparts, they are also vectors of disease. Oblivion mosquitoes can easily Oblivion mosquitoes carry an easily transmissible virus that induces targeted prosopagnosia in their victims. As the condition spreads, affected settlements become unable to discern the facial features of infested survivors, seeing them as featureless, faceless. That's a lot to take in. Let's just break it down a little bit. So basically, the way this thing's going to fight is it seems like being around it or being the target of its attacks or something is going to infect you, right? You become empty or something, right? Somewhere, some way. Let's look at the artwork here. So here's the artwork, right? You can see that this person's becoming faceless here in the artwork. That's what prosopagnosia is. It's just that's an actual disorder, not a virus. It's a real disorder where you can't discern faces or facial features of people. But this makes it happen throughout your entire settlement. So it's kind of like Kingsman. This gives a lot of Kingsman vibes. So hopefully, I'm hoping that they learned a lot from Kingsman, being that, you know, the let's say, for example, you have, you know, where Kingsman, someone gets infected and then you just leave them in the settlement forever, and then you only use them to fight more Kingsmen, and then either they die or whatever. The curse doesn't really affect you. This seems to be a little bit different. This seems like they've learned something about it, or learned something different about it, and they've implemented systems to make it vastly different. Actually make it urgent. It seems it gives it like something that you would have to be worried about, or something you can use, or, you know, it's not just a thing that happens like with curse, right? You just get cursed and then you just sit in the settlement, then you just hope they die, or you never use them, or they just, you know, you just never use them, because only when they fight does the curse progress. So that seems what this is. It seems like a much better take on that same concept. Not the same. I'm not saying it's exactly the same. I'm saying that the concept is similar, and this one seems like a better implemented design. So we'll go down. As you can see here, looks very neat. It looks a lot like the herb gathering location when you go there and you look at the herb gathering in the book. Looks kind of like that with these green vines and everything, all that stuff, pink water. Very neat. So let's go back. Let's get what I was alluding to. In combat, the Oblivion Mosquito is a flighty creature with two contrasting game plans. While it's more than capable of leveraging its towering physicality to defend itself from survivor-sized threats, the Oblivion Mosquito is also interested in incubating vulnerable survivors. In fact, once a survivor has been incubated, they may find that the Oblivion Mosquito becomes much less aggressive towards them in an effort to preserve the vessel of its future offspring. Don't confuse the passivity for weakness, however, as a cornered mosquito will still lash out. Aside from its physical prowess, the Oblivion Mosquito constantly bathes in its surroundings in a slurry of protective pheromones. Many of these pheromones send signals to the larvae, incubating inside survivors' heads, causing them to behave in erratic ways, like running headlong into other members of their hunting party. Another pheromone causes its victims to suffer microlapses in memory. In an aquatic environment such as the cesspond, survivors should take care to remain focused lest they even forget that they're drowning. So, flighty, I think it means it can fly, right? That's what it sounds like it, but it might mean that it's skittish. It might mean like the antelope where it runs away, or, flighty has multiple meanings. And it has two contrasting game plans. Meaning that it wants to kill you, but it doesn't necessarily want to kill all of you. It just wants to neutralize the threats, right? That's what it seems like it's wanting to do. So once it does give off these pheromones that give off the virus of prosopagnosia, that means that you were incubating a larvae, which we will see. The pupas will come up, but... So it's probably some way to shed priority target, like it's a negative priority target, a reverse priority target, like a negative constraint on targeting. It seems like that's probably what empty is. We'll come up. We'll look at all the things, but anyway. So that seems to be what the first one is saying out, right? So it's still going to attack you. Now look at the second sentence here. So again, it is formidable. So it has protective pheromones again, which many of these pheromones. So the larvae incubating in survivors' heads, causing them to behave in erratic ways. So you're probably going to cause collision to one another, or it's probably going to tell you to move in certain ways so the survivors collide and knock each other down, because it seems like being knocked down is going to be a thing. So this reads as if those survivors, once they get that stuff in their head, their goal is to collide, cause collision, and knock each other down, right? So... that's how it reads to me. Let's look at this. So you have Flyby Attack. Again, this sounds like it could be flying, but it might not actually literally be flying. Could just be like Sideswipe, or could just be like, Rush. Closest threat facing in range. Closest threat in range. No target friendly faces. So move and attack target. Again, this is just normal basic line. This is 2/2/1, whatever. After damage, bash. You feel a light kiss against your ear. Gain the incubated impairment. So that's where now you're probably going to be subjectable to these pheromones. Probably going to be controlled. Probably going to cause you to run around and collide with one another. And then move the monster 4 spaces directly away from the target. Then turn to face the most survivors. Forgetful Merc. This seems to be the one why you want to be constantly knocked down. This is a trait. At the end of each monster's turn, all knockdown survivors suffer monster level damage as they linger suffocating in the fetid waters. So fetid waters just means, it's not moving around. It's just stagnant water. So it seems like that's probably what the mechanic's going to be. It's going to try to incubate you, and then it's going to cause survivors to collide with one another, and then they'll get knocked down, and then this will deal damage to you. And I'm assuming that the flighted might just be this flighty creature. It might just be, moving away. See, that's what this here says. Move away, or move monsters 4 spaces directly away. I hate the word directly because it doesn't really matter. It doesn't mean anything, but whatever. So that's what it seems to be. That's how it seems like it's gonna stay away from you, incubate you, stay away from you, and then just have you all knock around, and then just gonna try to dot you down with this, you being knocked down. Should the survivors emerge victorious, they'll be able to harvest the Oblivion Mosquito for resources, and as with any other quarry, turn the spoils into pieces of gear. Great. So here's Doomsicle. This is a neat piece of gear here. This is Speed 2, Accuracy 6+, 3 Strength. It is a tool. It is a sickle. And it is Finesse. So there's the that new polishing lantern or whatever, and you can see the right here. It's the red thing. You put polishing lantern on this. That will give this +4 strength from the finesse or whatever polishing lantern does. And then it's also a tool. So if you have Manhunter, that will make it sharp. It's paired. So if you are empty, empty probably means you're not incubated, right? I'm assuming that's what that means. So if you're not carrying something, right? If you're empty, if you don't have a incubation thing, you gain +2 strength for the rest of the attack for each hit in your attack roll, right? It's crazy. This thing just stacks strength because, assuming that it's not like darkness from the Sunstalker, where darkness can only happen when you're in a Sunstalker fight. Hopefully empty doesn't just happen when you're fighting the Oblivion Mosquito, but we'll see. So I'm assuming empty. This is, again, just an assumption. I'm assuming means you don't have a larva inside of you. So you get +2 strength for the rest of your attack for each hit in your attack roll. So this thing could just stack strength. It's a monster because it's tool. It could, it gets the sharp bonus from the Manhunter's belt and stuff. So this thing's cool. This is a really neat one, and it's a sickle, really cool. So Oblivion Brush. This is a very weird thing. This is another tool. It's not a weapon. Yeah, it doesn't say weapon there. So it gives you +3 evasion if you're using the Manhunter's thing, which is really weird. It's also a brush, which is new. It's also heavy. And that's probably because if you're going to play this with Manhunter and you get the +3 evasion, you probably don't want to be stacking Rhythm Chaser, so that's probably why this is heavy. Otherwise, that's like 4 evasion. Like, that's probably why this is heavy. It's also flammable. It's also in this artwork. There it is. See? That person right there in the Screaming Antelope stuff is holding the brush. So, very neat. Now let's get back to what the brush actually does. Painted Target. This is a new ability. This is a really cool ability. On a perfect hit, you increase your range of perfect hits for all survivors by 1. Limit 3 times per showdown. So, what an interesting thing. It's a 1 speed, so it's slow and 1 speed. Then it's 10+ accuracy and has 0 strength. It's just really weird, but it's neat. It increases your range for perfect hits. I guess if you really want to get perfect hits, just a vessel for, devastating weapons and stuff like that, or automatic hits, which I don't think is super neat, but that's what this does. Included is a brand new armor set, which, like other gear constructed from the Oblivion Mosquito, will provide modal effects, or modal effects, depending on how players choose to arrange their gear grids. That's every gear. That's not every gear. Yeah. However, maybe it's like Verminism, where it says like if the 2 columns match, then you get bonuses and stuff. So maybe that's what this is referring to. Otherwise, yeah, everything's always however you rearrange your gear grid. Insightful gear organization will reward players with a flexible armor that can serve several different roles from one lantern year to the next. That is an interesting way to state that. Several different roles. I don't know what that could possibly mean. It's not... I mean, is he embracing the RPG MMO standard here? That tank DD, tank, healer, support, is he going to lean into that? Because the metas of the game currently do that, right? You usually take a support. Maybe he's talking like it synergizes with maybe like a scout or something, or synergizes with tank with a shield. Different weapon synergy types depending on like how you arrange it, which could all be neat. It's a very interesting way to phrase something, and then also to end it with 1 lantern year to the next. Is it like a time thing? That would be also interesting, but I doubt it. That's more of just like probably a fancy way of writing. Just, it probably doesn't really mean from 1 lantern year to the next. Like a different lantern. The progression of time probably plays no benefit. It could. That would be neat, but it's probably not like that. It's probably just a clever way of writing. So here we go. We've got some of the new armor kits. Super neat. They look very cool. You can see there's spears in there. You can see the sickle being dual wielded. What else is in there? A new lantern. There is... I can't see what's in the back, but it looks like spear. And there's a shield, like some kind of mirror-like shield. What do we got here? There's just another sickle. The sickle looks huge. Spear. Another sickle with a lantern. Oh, whip looks like some kind of like sword whip. Maybe it's like what's her name? Ivy's whip from Soul Calibur, right? She's got a sword whip. However, be forewarned. There are ramifications for fighting Oblivion Mosquito outside from the glitz and glamour of the new tools and gear. The consequences of becoming incubated by the Oblivion Mosquito extend far beyond the showdown itself. Once a survivor has been incubated, they become faceless. They are an unknown individual to their family, fellow survivors, and even their players controlling them. After all, how can you be so sure your favorite survivor is truly who you think they are when they all have the same featureless, counter nuance, or counter, I don't know how to say that word. Counter contourance and every other face is every other featureless contourance as every other faceless. Okay. Settlement with multiple faces within it is in dire straits indeed, as familiar faces are replaced with a legion of blank visages. And these are just the problems you'll face before the incubated larvae mature. Okay, see, so this is the familiar faces. All this is a super like Kingsman-like thing. Now, so hopefully it's been redone. I hope it's not just like more Kingsman where you just continue to send out these same faceless to fight Oblivion Mosquitoes, and then when you're not fighting or you're not hunting Oblivion Mosquitoes, you just don't use them, and then you just hope that they die or you kill them off, and then when you do sacrifice them or kill them off or use them as bait for murder and stuff like, or whatever settlement events, or have them do the bad rolls, cracks in the ground where you kill them off, then you'll never have to worry about the encounter. Hopefully that kind of stuff is thought about. That's the problem with Kingsman, is that the curse is like almost null and void. You get it, and then you just never use that person. Then you just fight the next Kingsman with them. Then if you kill them again, then you're only getting cursed once, and you killed 2 Kingsmen. So hopefully the system's a little bit better planned out. I'm sure it is. Coming back, we're going to read this, and then I'm going to have to cut because of Kingdom Death art. The Oblivion Mosquito expansion also includes a new entry to our encounter system, the Oblivion Pupa. When a larva has fully gestated within the brain of a survivor, it hijacks the pituitary gland in order to pump developmental hormones that cause the victim's body to rapidly metamorphosize. As a result, the victim's neck tulips open in order to allow their face, now fused with the pupa, to extend out of the host's body. So, then there's a lot of cool art that shows this. Basically, this is the encounter system. The encounter system is super cool. I've talked about the encounter system before when I covered all the Black Friday stuff, like 2 years ago or whatever. The encounter system is really neat. I'm looking forward to the encounter system. My only gripe with the encounter system is if it bloats a session. Other than that, I think the encounter system is super neat. I'm looking forward to it. It's really cool. It seems that a lot of the Wave 4s are really driving into it. Hopefully it's going well with the playtesting for Gambler's Chest. We heard nothing about Gambler's Chest in this update, so I'm assuming it's not done or even close to being done. So, because even when it's never close to being done, he still tells us it's close to being done. So now not hearing about it means maybe it is done. Anyway, so hopefully this is all super neat. It's a big gamble, right? If it's that's my only fear. If it adds 20 or 30 minutes to the hunt, I'm fine with it. But if it adds like an hour to the hunt, and then you still have to fight the showdown, and then the showdown's like 2 hours, it's a lot. And then I just probably won't want to use it. And then it sucks that a lot of all the Wave 4s are invested in it. But if it is unique, then it's great to have variety in your encounters. If the system is great, this is good. So if the system sucks, then I guess it's still good even if the system sucks, because then you still have variety. So now, cutting. All right, we're back. Besting these monsters may provide with inspiration for a few new crafting recipes or ways to use their existing tools, but take care. While the Oblivion people are not as adept at biochemical warfare as its mature counterpart, survivors that underestimate these creatures might find themselves worn down just enough to fall victim to the waiting mosquito. It's all for this month's Dark Herald. Now, if you'll excuse me, it appears as though my mouth has vanished from my face. neat. So just to touch on this last thing here, this is an interesting thing. So with the Bone Eaters, they seem to be an encounter at random. It's not hunt dependent. This last sentence, where it says, while the Oblivion people are not as adept at biochemical warfare as its mature counterpart, survivors that underestimate these creatures might find themselves worn down just enough to fall victim to the waiting mosquito. Sounds like these might be a hunt-dependent encounter, which is interesting. Again, the encounter system could be give or take. I don't know. I haven't played it. We'll see what happens. It's like in Gambler's Chest, but it could be hunt-dependent, meaning that it could be far more frequent or easily avoidable. If you only run into these things when you hunt a mosquito, then you never have to worry about them pestering you throughout the campaign. So that's good. If you dislike it, if they're very annoying, that's good. Or maybe it doesn't mean that, and maybe they do just show up at random. I don't know. It's interesting that that's thrown in and it's worded like that. So overall, this is a very good Herald, in my opinion. It was a lot of new information. It showed a lot of things. I'm going to cut again so I can scroll past these things. All right. So it showed a lot of new information, right? We got a lot of cool stuff here. The armor kits look super cool. Again, it's really showing off like the new armor kit style. This is old imagery. We've seen these like 7 years ago or whatever. Brush is a very cool thing. Plus, this thing is really like two tools, a brush and a sickle. Wow, I mean, that's neat, right? That's super cool. That's showing a lot of different weapon types that have multiple utility, right? Because having a sickle with you helps for herb gathering and stuff, right? And this brush, this is super interesting. What even is this, right? What is a brush? It seems like it's something that you just put on to it's like a debuffing or buffing roll. And if that's what, like if he's going to go down the roll to party rolls, right? Like specific roles, when you go on a hunt, you're going to fulfill this role and you're going to be more effective playing that role, and everyone else around you gets benefits from you playing that role so well. If that's really the thing, if that's the way that's interpreted from them saying that it could help you play different roles, that's neat. And this brush seems to be like that, right? You put this on, it's slow, it's got one speed, it doesn't matter if you hit or not, you just kind of just go in, you're probably not going to hit. Even if you do hit, you only draw the one hit location card, you're probably never going to wound, but you could, because it's a tool, you could give it sharp and stuff. But it's very unique. It's also not a weapon, so I don't even know if you equip it. I don't even know how this works. Normally, you equip weapons and wear armor. This is like, it's not an item, it's melee, but it's not a weapon. It's a melee tool that's heavy. So is it not equipped? It's super weird. I don't know about the keywords on here, but interesting nonetheless. So, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do another Let's Talk video about the shop update that happened, because that's super interesting too. I'm just waiting to see the mastery from Willow. And I've been tracking it, and people have been saying they're going to probably get it on Monday. So that'll be great. So I'll look forward to that as well. And I'll see you in the next Let's Talk video.